Aline and me welcome you all for the presentation about Altmetrics, which is a new way to follow your research output in social media and news. So I think most of you know the boring old way to capture academic attention and relevance, which is the citation analysis, which means how many times is a research article cited in scientific literature. So therefore, it is the capture of the academic attention and relevance. Now, the more new way, and in particular also attractive for young researchers, are Altmetrics, which is how many times a research article is mentioned, used, saved, and charted in online resources. Therefore, the Altmetrics captures the broad attention and relevance of your research output. As not to confuse you, there are different providers that proposes Altmetrics. Some of you may know already. For example, Kudos is quite well known. Also sometimes Plum Analytics. But today we will focus on altmetric.com because the University of Bern has a license since some months for altmetric.com. And Altmetric.com summarizes the discussion of research in blogs, social media, video services, news, policy documents, and many more. And for example, if you find a source that is not presented in Altmetric, you can always contact the team. They are very helpful and also very open to add new sources. What will the Altmetric download now really tell you? Unfortunately, we cannot eat it, even when we have now a coffee lecture. Here, a very colorful download. Mostly it doesn't look like this, but the color itself visualizes which resources are discussing the research contribution. And the Altmetric attention score is then the weighted approximation of all the attention that was picked up for a research output. So there are around 17 different categories. So here you see some examples for different sources representation. These are a little bit less colorful, but for example, in the first download, you can see that the output has received a lot of mainstream media coverage. Whereas here in the second download, the attention comes mostly from blogs in yellow and also from policy documents in purple. And the last one, this is one that I often see here also from research at the University of Bern, is more or less blue because most of the research has received attention from Twitter. What's now really behind this color and scores? So the calculation itself is based on 3 factors. On one hand, it is the volume. So this means how many times the contribution was mentioned by different people. So this is really by different people. It doesn't help when your colleague is tweeting you around 1,000 times or your research output around 1,000 times. And then the authors. For example, conversation among authors about scholarly articles has a greater contribution than, for example, if a journal is doing an automatic communication of your research output. And the last is the sources. Each source category contributes in a different base amount to the final score. For example, newspaper article counts more than blog post, counts more than a tweet. But now the most relevant information of the day lectures, why and how to use now this tool. And this will be now explained by Aline.
So now that you have seen what's behind the Altmetric score, you may wonder what the advantages are for you as a scientist. One advantage is that the Altmetric score can be applied at the article level. So it's basically an article metrics, but it can be summarized for authors and institutions or for your own group. So it can be applied at different levels, but it's the same system behind. It's very quick. So as soon as there's online discussions going on social media, for example, you get the impact discovered and taken up by Altmetric. So it shows the early impact of research immediately. It allows you to get a very broad view of how your research is disseminated online. You can get an idea on where the discussions are going on, in what kind of media, also who is talking about your research, and you can get very deep into the details and also see very concretely what was written and talked about your research. It also may help you get credit for impact activities online, credit in form of a higher Altmetric score, and being well visible in online media may also help you to increase your citations in written articles. It's also useful to have it shown in grant applications, funder reportings, CVs, and so on. So it's easy for people to read, to understand. It's also nice to have it in there because it's colorful. It makes a good impression, I guess. And finally, it also may help you to find potential people that you could work with, partners or stakeholders. Because by looking at who is talking about your research, you may gain knowledge about your potential research network, and that may also help you in your career. So how can you promote your research? You don't have to wait until it's done. You can be active yourself. So first of all, it's very important to include the DOI always when you're writing and talking about your article online. It's important to publish open access because this gets you a much broader audience and makes it easier for people to read and to get the knowledge of your research. Your org ID is also important. The ID should be updated regularly, so it makes it possible to easily link your research, all your papers, with you as a person. It may happen, and we were told that it actually happens frequently, that Altmetric misses some mentions online. So there may be tweets around or blogs, whatever, that Altmetric did not capture. And there's an online form that you can use and just let them know that something was missed and they will take it up. And finally, you don't have to wait until a discussion is started. So it can be you yourself, you start an online discussion, you tweet, you use Facebook, ResearchGate, whatever, to make it easier for people to follow your research and also to get engaged and involved in your online discussions. You can use Altmetric simply at the article level by using the plugin. It's available for Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And it makes it easy to get an overview on the Altmetric score of a single article. So every time you come across an article that you're interested in, you can use the tool and you easily get the Altmetric donut as shown here. So this is an article online, and I now use the plugin called Altmetric. It will have a window popping up which shows the Altmetric score with the donut and the different sources below. And if you're interested in more details, you can get those. Here, you're then directed to the Altmetric page and you'll get more information about this specific article. Another way on how to use Altmetric is to use their API. The API can help you integrate the Altmetric score and donut to your homepage. On the left, you see an example from Bern. The Bern Open repository includes the Altmetric donut below. You can see it here. It will only show up if you actually have online activities and discussions going on for a certain article. Another example is shown here from ETH, where they show the donut for each article in a list. So you could have this for your own homepage. And finally, it's Altmetric Explorer that helps you to discover more content in Altmetric in their database. It's a tool that is licensed at the University of Bern. It's free, it's available for you all, and you can get the information at that link that we provide here. And Michelle will tell you now more about the details on how you can get information using this Altmetric Explorer tool.
I will quickly switch to the Altmetric Explorer. Not to waste the time, I have already logged in myself. You can log in with your institutional account, with your institutional email to altmetric.com Explorer. And then here you can do a quick research. I will just take maybe the Institute of Social and Preventive Medicine. Yes, exactly. And on the first page, you see that there is highlights here, what's really popular and who is engaging the most with your content. You see that most of their attention comes from social media, some also from news and blogs, and also some in policy documents, and then also the top outputs here and the most mentioned. And you have here also different tabs. For example, the research outputs. This is the list of your research outputs, and here you can sort it by different fields. Here is the, for example, that the intention score is now the highest here. You see this article here in Nature Climate Change has the highest score. If you are interested more in timelines, for example, to view your attention in social media in the last week, you can go to the timeline and, for example, filter to 1 week. And then you see also that, for example, here on the November 20, there were a lot of tweets about the research output of the Institute of Social and Preventive Medicine, also here on the 18th of November, with also some blogs. If you're interested more in the geolocation of your attention sources, then you can go to the demographics, and you see there from which country most of your mentions of the research or your research output is mentioned. For the Institute of Social and Preventive Medicine is, for example, in the United States and also in the UK. All the individual mentions across all attention sources you can find in the mentions tab, and the mentioned sources lists then the individual sources. In the last tab, it is a comparison table that it displays all the total mention counts for different Altmetric attention sources aggregated then by journal. You have really a lot of possibilities in this tool to investigate from where your research output is communicated. But to explain that all in detail will exceed the goal of this coffee lecture. Therefore, we will close now the coffee lecture, but of course we are open to your questions.